What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. There's been a major story that has really piqued my interest. It's been getting a lot of headline news the last week or so involving a U.S. student from the University of Pittsburgh, a beautiful young lady. She goes by the name of Sudiksha Konancki. She's been missing since March 6th. Now today is March 17th, so she's been missing 11 days. She was down there vacationing with her friends. I think the group total were 5 people. And they were just down there, letting their hair down, enjoying their spring break. I believe she's a med student, so she's got a very bright career ahead of her. And she was just down there, enjoying herself, getting away from the day-to-day grind of college life, going to school, studying, taking tests, trying to be on your P's and Q's because it's going to pay off in the long run when you get that degree. And she was looking to get into the medical field, as that was her study choice. With all that being said, she was down there in the DR, one of those attractive tourist cities down there in the DR, with her 4 friends. Nighttime hit, they at the bar. They hitting pink tequila. And that's where they met Joshua Ribby and his friend. They all hitting shots. They all enjoying themselves. Now Joshua, he from Iowa. He was going to one of those small colleges in Iowa. So him and his homeboy, they're down there enjoying themselves on spring break. What a lot of the students do during this time of year. Hitting pink tequila. And it was obvious, if you've seen this video that's been surfacing the last day or so, that Joshua Ribby and Sudiksha Konancki had way too much to drink, because they both throwing up by the bar. Both of them calling Earl by the bar. The hotel, a lot of problems going on with this hotel from what I'm hearing. But this hotel had a power outage. So the group decided to go to the beach. Sudiksha Konancki and Joshua Ribby both got their hands around each other. You can see that Sudiksha, she messed up, man. She's stumbling and stuff like that, and he kind of keeping her close to him. He seems to be a little bit in a better, he don't seem to be as plastered as she is. Let me say it like that. But he drunk too, though, because when he was throwing up at that bar, he threw up for a long time. She threw up real quick, but he threw up for a long time. He stayed there, so he wasn't in no condition to do some of the things that he claimed he did in this interrogation interview when authorities were questioning him in regards to the disappearance of Sudiksha Konancki. I'm going to paint the picture for you of what I think really happened. Now, I'm going to give you latest developments on what's going on, first of all. First of all, Sudiksha Konancki parents want a declaration of death. They believe, through the information they've gotten from the authorities in the Dominican Republic and authorities here in the United States that are down there, the FBI, that they have decided to press for a declaration of death because she was missing on March 6th. Now here it is, March 17th. 11 days later, nobody. All we got is the story of Joshua Ribby, who was the last person seen was Sudiksha Konancki. Now let's go back to them heading out to the beach. The group of people was Sudiksha Konancki and Joshua Ribby and his homeboy. A total of 4 women and 2 guys. 4 women and 2 guys. 6 people heading down to the beach. They leave toward the beach at 4:15 a.m. Mind you, they just left the bar. Everybody hitting pink tequila shots. That's not a good idea. You can go to the beach, maybe chill on the sand and play around in the sand, but you talking about getting in the water when you've been doing that much drinking, bad idea. Now at 4:55 a.m., Sudiksha's 2 friends were seen on surveillance video coming back to the hotel. So the group left out at 4:15 a.m., 4:55 a.m. Her 2 friends are seen going back to the hotel without Sudiksha. I think sometime before that, or maybe a little bit after that, Joshua Ribby, homeboy, and Sudiksha's other friend were seen coming back to the hotel hand in hand. No Sudiksha Konancki, no Joshua Ribby. Now, according to Joshua Ribby, they were in waist-deep water kissing. And then a wave hit them and took them further away from shore. According to him, he took in a lot of water. She took in a lot of water, but he grabbed her and he was able to get them back to safety, back to around knee-deep water. And he asked her, was she okay? She didn't respond. He started throwing up again. He looked back up. She gone. Don't know where she went. He assumed that she went back to the hotel. Now, the surveillance video got Joshua Ribby coming back to the hotel at 9:55 a.m. 5 hours and 40 minutes after they went to the beach. 4:15 a.m. the group went to the beach. 9:55 Joshua come back from the beach. No Sudiksha Konancki, and him shirtless with no shoes on. Now, authorities recovered some clothing from Sudiksha Konancki, but no Sudiksha Konancki. Recovered some thong shoes, and then they recovered the, you know when the women wear those bathing suits and they wear those things that cover your bathing suit up, like kind of like a bathing suit cover up, just for lack of a better word, something that the women wear on beach. And they kind of put on something that covers up the, if they're in a bikini, that kind of covers up them while they're wearing a bikini. You got the you got the top and you got your bottom. And you got the little, basically like a little coat, like a little light coat covering her up. They found that, but no Sudiksha Konancki. Now, Joshua Ribby being the last person seen with Sudiksha, obviously, is a guy that the authorities want to talk to. According to the authorities, he changed his story 3 different times. But his latest story of what happened seems to be the story they're going to go with, because he's pretty much stuck with this story. He said they were in waist-deep water kissing, and then a big wave came in, and next thing he know, they was both submerged up underwater. Him being a lifeguard, he grabbed her and attempted to get back to shore. He took in a whole lot of water, almost end up succumbing to the ocean because all of the salt water he inhaled. He had took in, but he was able to get both of them back to shore, basically where they were in knee-deep water. So they basically back to safety. He throw up. He calling Earl. Then he looks up, and she's gone. Don't know where she went. 4 hours and 40 minutes later, you see the video of him coming back to the hotel. Now, in between that time, he said he went and sat on a beach chair and fell asleep. And then when he woke up, he headed back to the hotel. He basically painted himself as a hero. Basically saying that, I didn't really care about myself. I was just worried about trying to get her back to safety. Even though I was taking in a lot of water, I was able to get us back to safety. And she just walked off. He said she was walking at an angular direction, for whatever that means. With all that being said, this is what I think happened. Anytime you get in a situation where you in water with somebody else, and y'all both in a situation where y'all both could possibly drown, but you being a lifeguard, you kind of got a little bit more calmness about yourself. You believe you can swim in, say something. Let's put it like this: say you in waist deep water, and one of them tidal waves blow you way out there, where you in real deep water. You done gone from maybe 4 or 5 feet water to like you in some water where it's, you down into a lot of deep water where you in a serious situation where you could possibly drown. You in some deep water. 3, 4, 500 feet type of water. Say that was the case. I believe, this is what I believe, Let me just say it to you like this. This is what I believe. There's some truth in what he said, but it's not what really happened. It's not what really happened in my opinion. I think it's some truth in this, what he said. I do believe that they were in waist deep water kissing. And I do believe that a big wave came in there and put them in a precarious situation where her not probably being a lifeguard like himself, with her she probably didn't even know how to swim. I don't think she knew how to swim. So she panics. He, being a lifeguard, he understands these type of situations. He can, probably, even if he in real deep water, he can probably swim back to shore. But the thing about it is, if you with somebody that's panicking and you try to save them, they panicking. They gonna push you inside in the water. They gonna push your head down. They try to do anything so they can try to keep themselves above water, and they can end up it can end up being a situation where both of y'all end up drowning because you got somebody in there panicking. They don't know how to swim. You know how to swim, but you try to grab up on him and they push your head in there. You already took in a lot of water. You drunk. You're already weak because of all the drinking you've been doing at the bar. So what you gonna do? You gonna be like, man, he might have just, pretty much discarded her, and he swam on back to shore, and she ended up drowning. Because he looked at it like, look, he probably knew, he was self-aware enough to say, hey, man, I've been drinking, I'm already weak. Ain't nowhere in the world I'm going to be able to carry her back to shore. Even if I carry her, me being a lifeguard, I know cardinal rule number 1, you try to bring somebody back to shore, or stop somebody from drowning that don't know how to swim, that's panicking. They could put you in a situation where y'all both end up drowning because they desperate. They'll push your head down and use your body as leverage so they can keep their head above water, and you already took in a lot of water. You already drunk, sloppy drunk, and next thing you know, you done drowned. So I think he knew all that, and she panicked when that wave hit them and they got submerged in the water. And he basically discarded her. Said, get up off me. I ain't finna grab up on you. And you panicking, and we both inebriated. We both drunk, and we both end up drowning. Let me go and swim back to shore. I can't do nothing for you in the situation I'm in. Because I can't see how he said that he grabbed her and he was able to pull both of them back to safety. When you look at that video of him at the bar, he throwing up. He got both hands on his knee for about at least a good couple of minutes. Well, even her, she seemed like she wasn't I said earlier in this video that I believe that she might have been a little bit more drunk. There's different stages of drunk. But when they was in that bar, he was way more drunker than she was. Because she kind of threw up, but then she turned back around and started talking to her homegirl. You see her jumping up and down. She seemed like she still, ain't really sloppy with it. And I not to say that she wasn't drunk, but he got both hands on his knee. He's sitting over there for 2 minutes throwing up. So he was really messed up. So I find it hard to believe him being in that situation that he was in. From what I saw at that bar, he would have been able to have enough strength with him in the state that he was in to grab both of them. And he said he was taking in a lot of water and still be able to take both of them to safety. And then he look up after he throw up, she took off. Nah, don't see that. Nah. Like I said, cardinal rule number 1. Anybody, you ain't got to be no lifeguard. Cardinal rule number 1. If you in a situation with somebody that don't know how to swim and y'all in real deep water and you know how to kind of swim and get out of that, but they don't know how to swim, really the last thing that you really want to do, you don't want to see nobody die, nobody drown, but when you try to grab on to somebody that's panicking, they don't know how to swim, they gonna use you as leverage. They gonna do anything they can to keep their head above water. It's a free fall at that point. You panic, you try to keep your head above water because you don't know how to swim. You panicking. So you'll push somebody down, use their body as leverage, push their head down. Not to say she had no strength to do that to him. He much bigger than her. But it's just a situation where he was already drunk. He was already throwing up at the bar. So I don't think he had the strength to carry both of them back to the water. So he probably had just enough to get himself back to the ocean, him being a lifeguard, self-preservation. But for him to take a panicked lady that don't know how to swim, that would have probably been, using any part of their body to keep their head above water, and then, she's a grown lady. This ain't no little child where you maybe can, you much stronger than them, you can carry them back to the water. She's a grown lady. She probably weigh about, I would say about what, from what I see, maybe 150 pounds, somewhere in there, 145, 150 pounds, somewhere in there. Probably somewhere in that range. So this ain't no, and then we in a desperate situation. We in deep water. Wind blowing, you know what I'm saying? We in a precarious situation. You feel me? I'm drunk. I done took in a lot of water. She panicking. I grab on her. She start using my body as leverage, pushing me down in the water, and I'm already weak. Next thing you know, I could be in a precarious situation. Now, we ain't finna do that. You know, he maybe went over there and grabbed her and see how she was panicking. And he was like, oh, no, get up off you. We in a bad situation. There's waves coming. We submerged in water. And he went on and discarded her, basically. Then I do believe that he probably did end up falling asleep on the beach. But then when he woke up, he's like, damn, he started thinking about what happened. He said, that's messed up, man. I kind of did her dirty, man. You know, I could have probably tried to save her being a lifeguard, but she was panicking in the water. I ain't want to just grab her to her. Then we both end up drowning, man. You know, in that situation. Person, they in a desperate situation, they gonna use any kind of leverage to keep their head above water. She pushing my shoulder down, pushing my head down. I'm already, you know, weak from the drinking I've been doing all night. And then I inhaled a lot of salt water, you know, because of this wave that came through and swept us way away from, not much further away from the shore than we were at. Nah, I'm finna preserve me. I'm finna take care of me. And he basically discarded her. Her being not a person that didn't know how to swim, she ended up drowning. He made his way back to shore. That's what I think happened. So he coming up with this story, making himself look like a hero. That's why he's doing that. Because people be like, man, you a lifeguard? You couldn't try to grab her and take her back to shore, man? You just basically discarded her. Like, man, get up off me. Let me get myself back to her shore. You panicking. You don't know how to swim. And I know as being a lifeguard, I grab a hold of you. And the way you panicking, you push my body down, I'm already weak. I get drowned, or we both end up drowning. Nah, I ain't finna take that chance. I ain't finna do that. I'm finna just get myself back to shore by any means necessary. It was basically self-preservation by Joshua Ribby, in my opinion. That's what I think happened. Does that qualify as foul play? What does that qualify as? You know, this wasn't what happened to Natalie Holloway. Natalie Holloway was murdered. She was murdered. As Van der Stud did an interview about a year ago, told everybody what happened when she kicked him and kneed him in the private section when he tried to advance on her. He ended up kicking her in the face. She unconscious. Then he ended up smashing her face with a rock or something. Then he took her body out there to the ocean and dropped it in the ocean. So that was a murder. I don't think Joshua did that. I don't think he choked her or something like that. You know, choked her because she didn't want to have relations with him. He got mad and choked her and then took her body out to the ocean. I don't think that's what happened. Maybe that could have happened. I don't think that's what happened. I just think they got caught in a situation where it was self-preservation for Joshua Ribby. He was not strong enough at that point in time to get both of them back to the water. With the state that he was in and the state that she was in and being in a panic state, being drunk, him being drunk, both people taking in a lot of water, he discarded her and made his way back to shore. She drowned because she don't know how to swim. She panicked. She's in deep water, and I believe that's what happened, sadly enough. Now, does that qualify as him possibly being charged with something? You know, it's kind of like a situation where if you at some kind of party, or you say you at a restaurant. You sitting down eating and enjoying yourself, and somebody just come in there and start shooting up the whole restaurant. And they start shooting, and they shooting at your table. It's just you and 4 other people at the table. And you you got a person to your right of you at the table. You see the bullet. You see he's basically shooting up the whole restaurant, and the bullets are coming towards your table. And somebody, you grab the person in front of you and use them as a human shield. You take this bullet. I'm gonna put you in front. You take this bullet, blah, 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 and you ducked up under the table. You end up getting out of there. You hit the back door, or whatever. Get up on out of there. Should that person be held liable? Self-preservation. You didn't do the shooting. You didn't have nothing to do with the person coming in there and start shooting up the restaurant. But you did grab that person and use them as a human shield to save yourself. And I think that's what Joshua Reeby did in this situation. I think he saved himself. He wasn't in a position he wasn't in a position with the state that he was in at the time to save both of them. So he made a decision to save himself and let her just basically drown because she don't know how to swim. She was panicking. She was drunk. They in deep water, much deeper than they was when they were kissing. And he made his way back to shore. Now he changed the story up to make himself look better because it would have looked bad if he told that story, especially for him being a lifeguard. And then you put the whole equation of him being drunk, and they both been drinking and stuff like that. It's like, that's a stupid idea for you to even go to the beach and get in the water like that anyway. I believe the red flags were out there at the beach, meaning that when that red flag is up at the beach, that means you ain't got no business in that water. They said they had been experiencing some high wind down there. The waves were down there in full effect, and it was just a dangerous situation. You put that on top of the fact that both people were drinking, 4 a.m. in the morning. I don't think it was nobody out there but them two. Maybe it might have been some other people out there, but nobody in the vicinity of those two. And that's why this is a very, very, very tragic situation. Let me know your thoughts on what you think happened to Sudiksha Konancki. That's just my thoughts on what happened. I think it was a self-preservation by Joshua Reeby. They both got caught up. He didn't have enough strength to get them both to shore. The last thing you want to do is grab somebody that's panicking and don't know how to swim, and y'all in real deep ocean waters. You grab hold of them, grown lady, they could end up having you drown, because especially when you took in a lot of salt water already, you already in a weakened state, you can find yourself in a bad situation. He felt that he probably could have ended up drowning, or they both could have ended up drowning. So he basically said, I gotta look out for myself. I think I got enough strength to make it on my own. I don't have enough strength for both of us to make it on our own. So he might have went over there and grabbed her at first, but she was panicking and trying to keep her head above water and probably using him as leverage. So he probably pushed her off like, hey, hell no. Discarded her off him, and he made his way back to shore, and she ended up drowning. I think that's what happened. Sad situation. Her parents want a declaration of death. The authorities know more than me, know more than a lot of people. We might never know what truly happened to Sudiksha, but I don't think this was quote unquote foul play, but I do think this was a situation where it could have easily been avoided. Bad decisions made by both people, and this is a tragic, sad situation. My thoughts and prayers go out to Sudiksha Konancki's parents. My thoughts and prayers go out to Joshua Reeby's parents, man, because everybody going through it, man. Her friends, and they're it's affecting them more than just two people, man. You got families involved in this and stuff like that. I hope the truth does get revealed. That's just my synopsis of what happened. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just kind of thinking about it, man, with the lack of blood, or just the lack of maybe, one theory I did think about it, maybe he might have choked her when she refused his advances and then dumped her body in the ocean. Maybe that could have been the case. That could have happened. But I just think this, what I just told you guys, is a little bit more plausible. Based on people that know Joshua Reeby, I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about him, man. I haven't heard any former girlfriends or people that went out on dates with him saying, oh, he's aggressive, he don't know how to take no for an answer, he this, that, and the third. I haven't heard from that. Maybe we might hear some stories come out here, but from what I'm hearing, he seems to be a stand-up guy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, that's just his parents putting him in a good light, like any family would do. You got people out here on death row and, killed multiple people. And, their parents gonna always say, oh, he was a good guy. He misused, and these charges are trumped up. He ain't had nothing to do with it. He's misunderstood. You got people out there that done a lot of heinous stuff, but their parents or the people that know them still support them, and people are supporting Joshua Reeby. Not to compare him to some serial killers or some person doing a heinous crime, but you always have support from your mom and dad. They always gonna see good in you when others are see bad. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe. Follow me on Instagram at JB Sports. 3303. Follow me on Twitch at BriscoeJosh77071. Follow me on TikTok at JB Sports New Media. Follow me on my YouTube channels at JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, 9656, and at JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, 8000. And like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.